Hello, I'm Dr. Terry James Gingrass, and this is Dr. G's ADHD chat, or maybe it's ADHD chat with Dr. G. I'm working on it. Anyway, for those of you who don't understand what that was all about, um, I've been told that I need to change the order of my title for more SEO kinds of concerns. But I am doing a series on ADHD and alcoholism. I have firsthand experience with that, and not personally, but I have a drinking problem particularly, but I have some family members who've had some issues. And one of the things we know, and I mentioned last week, is that ADHDers have a much higher incidence of alcoholism than um, a neurotypical population. And there are some reasons for that. And of course, first thing we we look at is we know that things are a little hooked up a little differently for an ADHDer. Their brains work a little differently. They have some problems with uh, having enough dopamine on board. And dopamine, for those of you who haven't heard this before, is a neurotransmitter. It's one of the ways that your nervous system communicates, and it has you have a pleasant feeling, a feeling of completion that you've accomplished something when your dopamine levels are high. Okay, and so ADHDers have lower levels of dopamine, and we're not real sure whether it's because they produce less dopamine or they metabolize it faster than neurotypicals. If I had to vote, I'd vote for B, but that they metabolize it faster. But one of the nice things about alcohol, when you first start, at least, is that it releases dopamine. You drink, your dopamine gets stimulated, you feel pleasure, and that's all in all, that's pretty good. That feels like a wonderful surprise to kind of thing, and it's probably why virtually every civilization on the planet has some history of alcohol use and um, manufacture and so on. I think Eskimos are the only ones who don't have that in their history, and I guess that's because it's too darn cold uh, for fermentation. But anyway, so the what happens? Why does it go from being a pleasurable thing to all of a sudden it's causing problems? Well, the problem is as you continue drinking, you develop tolerance. You get so you can, when you first drink, you're, oh God, and then after you've been drinking for a while, and especially if you've been drinking abusively, you develop tolerance. It takes more for you to get the same effect. The reason for that is that your system starts to take away dopamine. You produce less, or maybe it's you have fewer receptors, or probably both. And so it takes more to get the same effect. Uh, there's a there's a problem with all of that. Most of us will never know about that, but there is a point at which alcohol can kill you, and it's you can drink so much uh, that your body can't metabolize it fast enough to keep you alive. Um, you have to be a very experienced drinker for that to have to ever happen. But there's a fine line between, you're intoxicated versus the amount that will kill you. And the more your tolerance increases, the closer you get to that cutoff line where bad things are going to happen. So it's um, if you've never seen anybody in the final stages of alcoholism, it's not good. It's really not good. Um, but basically, these are the people who can drink as much as a fifth a day, or even a little more, and they need that to feel normal. And then the withdrawal from alcohol is it's bad. It's dangerous. It causes more problems than withdrawing from heroin. Okay, I mean you can die withdrawing from alcohol. The old lock him in his bedroom and you know throw shove food under the door, but don't let him out uh, till he's sober. And people have died like that, and it's not a pleasant thing. I've been working in hospitals where you'd see that. I mean, it's not real common, but you would see that, and it's there are hallucinations and a lot of physical pain and emotional pain, and it's just not a uh, good thing. This is something serious. I mean, we have more troubles with alcohol probably than we do with drugs, um, and it's well, it's a serious problem, and it's probably a more dangerous drug than the ones that are legal, uh, or the ones that are illegal. I mean, it and the one of the other things that alcohol does uh, is you have that relief sort of feeling, and if many ADHDers, you know that life is not all that easy for a kid with ADHD or an adult with ADHD. You especially it's worse if you have never been diagnosed, so you don't know what's going on. But it's still bad even if you do, in the sense that you're always hearing about that you don't pick things up as fast as other people. You make more mistakes than other people. Uh, you don't pay attention the way other people do. You're not as organized as other people, and so on. So there's a lot of pain involved in being an ADHDer, and it's another thing that says you look for relief. You look for some way to feel better, and initially, at least, alcohol will fit the bill. You know, you you have a drink, your dopamine levels increase, you feel more relaxed and comfortable and pleasurable, even, and it has that effect until the problem with it is it's doesn't last all that long. You metabolize about a shot, a beer, a glass of wine. Even your liver will metabolize that in about an hour. Okay, so uh, then you start, you don't feel as good as you did before. So you have another drink, and pretty soon you've had a bunch of them, and then and you start getting tolerance, and then you get all those problems with increased tolerance. It takes more alcohol to get the same effect. You know, one drink isn't enough anymore. You need two, or you need three, and so on. It just goes up and up. And then there is that level of blood alcohol where you're going to have some really negative consequences. And alcohol basically affects most of the systems in the body. Your uh, certainly everybody is, I think, aware that your liver is affected. That's where the alcohol is metabolized. Uh, that controls that process, and you also have difficulties digestive. An alcoholic will typically have all sorts of digestive problems, ulcers, and that sort of thing. Uh, I mean, the alcoholics that do better and survive longer are those that are still maintaining some level of proper nutrition. But when they get to end stage kinds of things and all they're worrying about is the next drink and they don't care about eating or anything like that, then you see a much faster deterioration and it gets to be more problematic very quickly. Um, okay. Other things, those are the pretty much the physical parts of it. I mean, I could go on, but it's frankly kind of depressing. And we need to look at other things. Okay, socially, alcoholics, like as I've talked about, tend to have a much rougher time. Uh, they have a harder time. They have maintaining jobs. They have a harder time in maintaining relationships. They have a harder time uh, just with life in general. They don't quite fit in. They have to make a massive attempt at adapting to social expectations when they're not naturally. That's not the way they go. That's not the way they think. They tend to be risk takers. They tend to be uh, difficulties with patience in any way, shape, or form, including, delayed gratification. They have trouble waiting for stuff, especially stuff they really want. They're the kids who never could wait till Santa Claus got there. They had to try to find all the presents in the closet before Christmas Day, and that and risk taking. If most people I'm talking to have been in a bar or been in a fraternity house or a sorority house during a party, and know that um, people take a lot of risks. People, oh, watch how much I can drink. Oh, and young people anyway to have a tendency to be more risk taking than older folks, probably more risk taking than my generation was. But still, there were people and chug-a-lug contests and all that sort of thing uh, in the middle of parties, and that certainly that can kill you, but it's also can reinforce you being like, I'm a manly man, or I can drink a lot, kind of thing, and that is a way of getting some social props, if you will, some social position, just based on, oh man, you should see this guy. He can drink a whole six pack in 30 minutes. It's amazing. And well, so socially, it can do that for you. Psychologically, it helps you deal with the problems that you have as a result of your ADHD. It makes you um, less bored, less dissatisfied, less unhappy. Um, it's soothing, when you're feeling bad, you're feeling uh, anxious, say, or alcohol will calm you down, make you feel a little happier, maybe. Uh, and of course, our society is a drinking society. We, except for a short period of prohibition, uh, we've always been a drinking society. And you go to other countries in the world, or certainly in Europe. I'm much more familiar with Europe than I am with Asia, but uh, you know, everybody in Europe drinks. And they drink a good bit more than we do in the United States generally. and they always have. Back in medieval times, it was because it was safer to drink alcohol than it was the water. You could get all sorts of nasty diseases from the water, but alcohol uh, wouldn't cause you to have a disease. So that's what our people did. Our most of our ancestors did that instead of drinking water, and so on. So alcohol is still at a certain age becomes you need to drink to fit in. You get made fun of uh, if you don't have a drink with the guys, or if you go to the party and don't drink, or if you um, go to the dance and don't drink, you go to the fraternity party and you don't drink. Um, People will wonder what's wrong with you, and you won't be fitting in. So that is a huge issue with ADHD, um, and it's that brings to another thing that ADHDers a lot of times are not diagnosed as early uh, with alcohol problems. Um, they tend to have some problems, cognitive difficulties. I mean, we talk about executive functioning all the time, no set time sense, no uh, problems with organization, problems with procrastination, all those sorts of things. So, I mean, those kind of things are, if you see a person coming into work, who is habitually late and who is uh, seems to be confused a lot, or seems to forget what he's supposed to be doing, or that sort of thing. For an ADHD, they tend to have problems with that sort of thing right away without any um, other things going on. So when they're drinking too much and they're starting to have problems with dependency and so on, they it doesn't seem that different from what they were before. But for a neurotypical, that those signs are stand out more. Um, and when you see somebody who has an alcohol addiction problem, when they need it to feel normal, and that's what happens. They will go to great lengths to be able to drink. Um, I remember when I was in the Air Force and I was stationed in Minot, North Dakota, which is they used to make T-shirts that said uh, -20 below keeps the riffraff out. And but I we had one guy, and he was an officer. He was a captain, I think he was, and he used to go out in the middle of the winter. He would go out to his car in his short sleeves and take a couple of hits off a bottle of vodka that he kept in the trunk of his car. Now it's, 20, 30 below, the wind's blowing, probably snowing. He's standing out there in the parking lot, drinking. Of course, it was vodka, because when you get to a certain stage of alcoholism, you know that the clear liquors are the ones that don't smell as strongly, so you can get away with it for longer. Uh, Many things I learned from when I was in the Air Force. I did all the alcohol screening at every base I was at, um, and but heard some stories. I will tell you, and the thing that alcoholism is nothing to laugh at. It's nothing to just no big deal. He just got a little drunk. Big deal. Everybody does that. Probably everybody or most people do it once or twice, but then most of us say, "This does not feel good right now. I don't think I wanna do this again." When you lose control of it, you're in danger, like I said. Past a certain level of alcohol consumption, you can literally drink yourself to death, and, so it's nothing to be, taken lightly. It is, something that, is it's serious. I mean, it's a serious thing. It doesn't just, "Oh, old Fred, he got drunk, he fell down, No, old Fred is on a dangerous path. He can drink himself to death. He can drink himself into having all kinds of physical problems. His liver can burn out, his stomach lining can go. Uh, Alcohol has a big effect on the brain, which I used to get exposed to fairly regularly as a neuropsychologist. I was the guy who does the brain, the functioning evaluations, and these people were not technically competent. Basically, I was the one who did the evaluations, and people who had problems with drinking, other drugs as well. I'm not going to say that's the only one, but certainly alcohol is the one that kind of stands out. When you have problems with that stuff, um, that's the one that can kill you, is more likely to kill you. Of course, we won't even get into the fentanyl thing, but that's also an issue. Okay. All right. That is my spiel for this week. I am planning on doing a few more. I haven't decided if it's going to be 3 or 4 more sessions on just alcohol and ADHD, but um, we will. Let me know, if you like hearing this kind of information, or if you want some other kinds of information. Um, I've been doing this a long time. I've been working with ADHD for over 40 years, and I I've had a lot of different experiences, and just tell me what you'd like to hear about, and I'll do my best to provide some information. Okay, and my website's terrygingrassphd.com, and you can sign up for I've forgotten what we got, a discovery call, okay, where we basically discover if we want to work together. And I do coaching, of course, and I do um, instructions and webinars and that kind of stuff. So anyway, so we will catch you next time, uh, and we'll see you.